Hey, what's up, everybody? We are going to talk about the High Republic today, right out the gate. I want to make sure everyone knows, because I see people asking in chat, we're going to be talking spoilers. There will be spoilers. So we're going to be specifically discussing Light of the Jedi. That's mostly what we'll cover. But we got Light of the Jedi, A Test of Courage, and the Marvel comic. Mollie's already distracted.
I was moving my phone so I wouldn't buzz.
So we're going to be talking about those three stories. We won't talk about Into the Dark yet since it's not out, and we won't be talking the Adventures comic because we haven't read it.
Oops.
Well, it's not out.
Oh, okay.
And we haven't gotten it. So
yeah, I haven't read
Into the Dark.
Into the Dark yet either.
Yeah. So those three are fair game. It's going to be just like our Mandalorian live streams where we're going to talk for a little bit, and then we're going to answer questions in, I don't know, half an hour, however long it takes us to talk, because Mollie just finished the book.
I literally just finished reading Test of Courage and the comic.
Yeah, you finished Light of the Jedi a while back. So we'll discuss for a while, then we'll take questions. If you want to put a question in the queue, you can leave a super chat. If not, we'll just go straight to chat when we're done. Hilo is sniffing my butt.
Did you fart?
No.
Well.
You would have heard. Thank you, Hilo. So let's just get into it. Of the three, what was your favorite?
Light of the Jedi.
Same.
I mean, the other stories were just short.
Mm-hmm.
I liked Test of Courage. It was just, a much more contained story.
Yeah, I mean, and that's to be expected for a middle grade book. That was one that felt like it could have almost been told in any era. Well, I guess the prequel era. Just a Padawan and a young Jedi Knight get stranded, and they have to work together to survive. That was just a middle grade Star Wars story, where Light of the Jedi does all of the heavy lifting with the world building and stuff, really telling us what this era is about.
Yeah. Do we have music on?
Yeah. Is it too loud?
Audio's kind of low, music's a little loud compared. Sorry, guys. We will fix this.
Okay, I turned our mics up.
They say music is too loud.
Okay, well, our mics are up a lot louder there. So.
Okay. Let us know how this sounds.
Okay, so yeah, Light of the Jedi is where it does all of the actual work.
Yeah.
Telling us what the era is about, what the Jedi Order is like, what the Republic is like. Shout out to the Templin Institute, who thanks for the super chat, buddy. Are we all the Republic? Please tell me in all caps. Templin wasn't a big fan of this book, but we're still friends because that's possible. I love Light of the Jedi to death, and he disagrees with me on every point, and vice versa. But we're still getting along.
It can be done, guys.
Yeah.
It can be done.
Well, I should say we're getting along as well as we ever have, which is just barely.
Just barely. Just barely hanging on by a thread.
Yeah. Let's talk characters. Who's your favorite character?
I mean, we kind of already talked about this, but I think our answer is the same. Loden Greatstorm.
Yeah, I think so too.
I like Avar Kriss too, but she doesn't have as much charisma as Loden does.
I really just like the whole Elfrona squad. Loden, Bell, Porter Ingle. Porter is a contender for favorite as well.
Yeah.
He just didn't get as much to do, but that almost makes him more intriguing. It makes me even more excited to learn about him. He was the Blade of Bardata.
Yeah.
And he's way older. He's been around since before the High Republic was a thing, so he's seen some stuff.
Yeah, he is at the temple as a cook.
Uh-huh.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So he's a retired old Jedi, but he goes with them on this trip to save the kidnapped,
the Homestead family.
Yeah. And he just whips out this amazing action basically that no one's ever seen him do.
He's just a badass.
Yeah. And the other characters are like, whoa, did you know he could do that?
And the Nihil too, like when the Nihil shoot his horse, for lack of a better word. They shoot his horse and he's basically like, all right, I'm gonna kill you MFers right now. Like, how dare you?
Yeah.
So I really loved him, and I hope that they keep exploring him. I thought it was funny. I was gonna make a joke to Charles Soule about like, who's your favorite Jedi and why is it Porter Engle, when I was talking to him. And before I could do that, he was like, and I love Porter Engle. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, everyone loves Porter.
He did recently hint on Twitter that we'd be getting some artwork of him. So
that's good. He's on the limited edition cover or whatever.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Which we just so happen to have.
I got it for the socks mostly.
Which is that?
Yeah, that's him. This is great content for the.
Sorry, I haven't looked at this very much, but cool.
But yeah, he's in there. What about Marchion?
Well, I know.
Which I should point out, the audiobook calls him Marchion. Charles Soule calls him Marchion.
Yeah.
I'm going with Charles Soule's way of saying it, because I know Claudia Gray has before said like, oh, the audiobooks didn't pronounce Ransolm Castrofo's name right.
I like Marchion, but whatever.
What do you think of him and as a villain, and just the Nihil in general?
I loved Marchion. The Nihil in general, it took me a while. Like by the end of the book, for those of you who've read it, by the end of the book, the Nihil are just like, it's like pure chaos and insanity, and it just like, it got me so hyped to see how Marchion kind of like changed over the course of the book, and how he, much like Palpatine, had all these plans.
Yeah.
And like everything he did was deliberate to cause this chain of reaction or whatever, and to basically put him in command of the entire Nihil.
Again, yeah, the audiobook says Nihil.
Yeah.
Molly got used to the audiobook, and I'm still in Marchion Nihil mode, but that's how the authors say it. Yeah, Marchion, something that maybe bugs me or like concerns me a little bit is how similar Marchion does kind of seem to Palpatine with all of his manipulations and stuff, but I think that's probably where it ends. He manipulates so that he can control the Nihil, which was, yes, a very good like Kaiser Soze kind of moment at the end of the book, with the usual suspects like, the call's coming from inside the house, and he was the one that told the Jedi to go save the homesteaders. Mm-hmm. I really did like all of that, and sending the Nihil leaders out on missions he knew was going to fail, just so he could gain more control. And
for anyone who listened to the audiobook, I felt like the voice for Marchion was just like spot on. He sounds very kind of like young and a little bit, I don't want to say naive, but that's kind of how he starts out. He's the I, or whatever. Should we go over like how the Nihil work?
I guess it's. I should point out that it's been about a month since I read the book, so some of the finer details are becoming hazy to me. I started a second read and just haven't finished it yet.
But so Marchion is the I, who he inherited that from his father, so he kind of gave me Kylo Ren vibes throughout the book too.
A little bit, because he's young and petulant and angry.
Yeah. And then you have the Storm, which is kind of
like everybody.
The entire Nihil, they refer to themselves as the Storm.
And what were the leaders called? The three leaders?
Tempest?
Okay, I think that sounds right.
So yeah, you had Tempest, you had Strike.
And Cloud.
Strike.
It was like Cloud, Strike, Tempest, Storm.
Yeah.
And then Marchion is like off to the side a little bit. He is the I. He provides them with a service. He provides them with the paths to go throughout the galaxy and cause chaos. But he doesn't at least he's not supposed to like have any say on exactly what they do. He gets like 2 votes whenever something comes up, whenever the Tempests are all arguing over what they should do.
Yeah.
But that's about it until he's able to kill off one of the Tempests, and then he basically has control.
Yeah. Oh, and then there's also runners.
Oh, right.
So Strike, Cloud, Storm, Tempest.
Oh, Tempest runners.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? Let's talk about the Great Disaster.
Yeah, we should just kick off with how it all starts, which was like, if the book had only been the Great Disaster, if it were just like a short story, that alone would have made me really, really care about this era.
Yeah.
I thought it was the perfect way to start.
And I remember when they released the first chapter a while back as like a little teaser, I got to the end and I was like, what? Okay, well, all of these people are dead now.
Yeah, you were like, okay, well, they made me care about this person, especially the captain, and well, now they're all dead. Yeah. And you weren't really happy with that.
No, yeah, I was like, is that what?
Well, then I was like, as I was reading the first few chapters, when I got the book, I was like, oh, well, buckle up, because that just keeps happening.
Yeah.
That's just like, here's some new characters. Do you love them? They're dead. Here's some new characters. You like them? They're also dead. Mm-hmm. But it really sets up this idea that, like, okay, who among these Jedi and Republic and regular schmoes that show up to save the day, like, who's going to live and who's going to die? And it is a pretty good balance. Like, Avar Kriss, you're like, okay, well, she's going to survive. I know she's in the comic. Like, yeah. there was some people you knew would make it, but there was like that one mechanic guy that had the droid that was gonna push the button so that the station wouldn't explode, and then he had to be the one to push the button. Mm-hmm. Like, and they really made you like that dude. So,
all right, back to the Great Disaster.
That is the Great Disaster.
Well, I was gonna like, the Legacy run is a ship, and basically it's full of passengers, and they're traveling through a hyperspace lane, and they get an alert that something is coming at them like really fast, and they just can't get out of the way, and it just like blows up, and that was caused by the Nihil.
The Nihil, which
using paths.
Yeah, and Marchion was like trying to get them. That's what he wanted.
Yeah,
he set that up. He was trying to have a crash happen.
So
we don't know why yet, but
if hyperspace goes like the hyperspace lanes goes like this, paths are going like this.
Well, the way Charles Soule described it is that hyperspace lanes are like reliable. You can go on the hyperspace lane and you're going to be fine. You won't run into anything. We know that this one way is good. It's like an interstate, but Charles Soule said paths are kind of like random old dirt roads before interstates existed. And yeah, they can intersect with hyperspace lanes. They're just a lot more dangerous to use. And the Nihil, being the chaotic entities that they are, use them all the time.
Yeah.
And so that's what kind of starts this whole thing.
Yeah. So then the Jedi are like, okay, we need to figure out what happened. They learned that there's going to be potentially more events like this called emergences, and so they're frantically trying to figure out when and where these are going to happen and stop that.
Yeah, but the first third of the book is all about one system where just the first emergence happens and 40 billion people live there, and so the Jedi and the Republic get this distress call. They show up and they save the day as best they can. There's still a great tragedy. I've definitely seen people like the Templin Institute talk about, like, these things are moving at near light speed. There's no way you'd be able to like stop them or blow them up. And to that I say, like, it's Star Wars. It's fantasy. Just, they're moving incredibly fast, but it's not science fiction. It's space fantasy.
Yeah.
So.
But also that is a good way to show just like how cool the Jedi are at this point in time. Like, they can do some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
they're I don't know if I would say they're more powerful, but their power is different. Like the whole Jedi vibe is different.
Yeah, it's more flexible. I really like the way that they talk about every Jedi views the Force in a different way. Avar sees it as a song being sung by all living things. I think it was Elzar Mann that sees it as like a vast and deep ocean. Buryaga, the Wookiee, sees it as a network of trees, go figure. So I like that there isn't just one way to view the Force. There are a bunch of different ways.
Yeah. And I've said this a couple of times, but Avar Kriss has this ability to kind of, what's the X-Men term that I kept using?
Cerebro.
So yeah, I kept saying it's like the idea of Professor X using Cerebro. She can kind of like connect with all the Jedi, or at least most of them.
It's very similar to something that was in Legends, specifically like KOTOR. Bastila Shan was known for it. It's called battle meditation, where you can connect with everyone. So it's like everyone knows what everyone else is doing, and you can coordinate better.
Yeah, we're all
basically the same thing.
Big Jedi conference call, basically.
Yeah, it's basically the same thing. So yeah, the Great Disaster is just that was like just page after page. I was like, I can't stop reading this. I think I read that all in my first sitting. And then even after that, the book I think is paced incredibly well. Lots of different, just every chapter ends on kind of a cliffhanger where you're like, well, I gotta know what happens next. But then it is split up against a lot of different points of view. It's a big cast of characters, so especially at the end when it's like, we're on Elphrona and here's a little cliffhanger, and then we jump over to Avar and Elzar, and then we jump over to someone else, and it's like, but I want to get back to Elphrona.
Yeah.
But
well, see, I love that kind of storytelling because it keeps me engaged.
Right. No, I'm agreeing with you.
Because like I have like little to no attention span when it comes to reading books for most of the most books, but I sat and read the first entire half of this book in one sitting. So if that tells you anything, it's very, very intriguing.
Yeah. How deep do we want to go into the rest of the book? I mean,
let's go into it.
All the way?
Mean, people want to know the story. When does the Force lasso happen?
Oh, I don't remember.
Because I was going to talk about that and how they kind of, because they use that to stop something that's moving at sublight speed, right?
Oh, you mean in the Great Disaster?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in the first third of the book or so.
Yeah. They use the Force, like Avar connects with a bunch of Jedi, and together they use the Force to kind of, I call it a Force lasso, to basically stop this thing from moving at sublight speed, which is crazy.
Yeah, and they also do like a big Force shove
yeah,
to move that other thing. There's like a big container of, was it Tabana gas, or it was something that was going to hit the star and like blow the whole system up.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of crazy different ways that they're using the Force. I don't really see them as more powerful than the Jedi of the prequels, but I see them as just maybe more connected. Like individually, they each have that own unique connection. So I think it's more personal. I just see it as better connected to the Force instead of like an actual strength, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's like they can use the Force more easily.
Yeah.
Seemingly. Especially like, not to jump ahead, but in Test of Courage, Venestra, it seems like she can do a lot of Force multitasking. Yeah,
or like to stay in Light of the Jedi, there's a bit that you really liked of a Jedi that's piloting her own vector and another vector at the same time. Yeah,
the vectors are so cool. They're basically the key to the vector engine is a lightsaber.
I love that. Like, yeah,
so
to unlock it, it's like your little key fob.
Yeah.
Just like stick your lightsaber in it. And...
So the Jedi have these awesome vector spaceships that their lightsabers power them up. And at one point, I forget which Jedi it is that does this.
I'm not going to remember.
Is it Man?
Maybe.
But anyways, they're coming in to help, and she's piloting her own vector, and with the Force, she's mirroring her same piloting actions on a second vector.
That's not Man, yeah.
Okay, yeah. But I was just like, that's so cool. These Jedi are so cool and awesome.
So after they save the day, then, yeah, there are continuing... Like, well, the end of the first third of the book, part 1, it's like, okay, we saved the Hetzal system, and then we jump over to another system, and it's like, yeah, but this happens again in another system, and it kills a bunch of people, and you're like, oh god.
Yeah.
So, like, that's the big problem here, is that there are going to be continued emergences, and that's kind of the rest of the book, is the Republic and the Jedi working together to figure out, A, what caused this, B, how do we guess where it's going to happen next, and then C, how do we stop it.
Yeah.
So that's basically like part 2, I would say, kind of a lot of investigation, especially with Avar and Delzar. We have Kevin, the engineer. I love some of the names in these books are a little like, oh, okay, Kevin,
Master Douglas,
and Douglas, yeah. But I always think back to George from Outbound Flight, the Legends book, where like you just spell it a little different, and it's a Star Wars name now, but it's still George. We all know.
Yeah. I want to talk about the Santekas.
Sure. Yeah.
Because Avar and Man go to see the Santekas
On Naboo.
And they are they a gay couple?
I don't remember. I don't remember if they were brothers or if they were partners.
I thought...
Again, like the finer details of these stories are... I need to finish my reread.
Chat can correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought that they were partners. But either way, the Santeka family has become rich from kind of researching and developing all this knowledge and technology around how hyperspace works. So they go to them to be like, okay, can you help us in figuring out how this could have happened in hyperspace? And they're like, oh, impossible. It couldn't have happened. And well, they're like, well, it did.
Yeah.
So
I like that also immediately when Avar and Elzar leave, like we get to stick with the Santekas, and it's like,
yeah, they were a gay couple.
Okay. The second the Jedi leave, they're like, oh god, they like know what's going on a little bit. So something I like about seeing the Santekas, seeing the Staros family, and the Jedi, there's a whole bunch of people, organizations, families who we see them in the High Republic and they're like really well off, but the next time we see them, like Lor Santeka just seems like a dusty old like exploring hobo man. The Staros family is like, Sana Staros is a smuggler now when Avon's mother was senator.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a lot of like, what happened to all these people?
Yeah. Well, so they use the term prospectors, which is what Dexter Jetster was out doing when he
prospecting on Sub-Terrell
when he found out about Camino. But yeah, so prospectors, I guess, is the term for people who go and basically chart the galaxy. So yeah.
Yeah, but okay, so we learned that they were able to do that because of their sister hit one of their sisters. Another Santeka.
I think she was super old.
That's
so
true.
It wouldn't have been
like
her sister. I think it was like their
mother, aunt, someone.
Aunt.
Relative.
Crazy aunt. Mari was her name.
I think so. Mari Santeka, who she is in the custody of the Nihil. Well, specifically, I guess not the Nihil. Specifically, Marchion Ro.
Marchion.
The Nihil don't know about her.
And it's crazy because he basically inherited this woman from his father. So they have this woman who is like ancient, super old. She's basically like Palpatine hooked up to all the tubes and various things in this little pod. And she like has whatever the Star Wars version of dementia is, I guess.
I mean, yeah,
'Cause
when you're that old,
yeah,
she's just kind of loopy and crazy, and
she thinks she's helping.
sometimes she thinks she's helping. Sometimes she thinks she's young again. She doesn't really know what's going on, which is very sad.
Yeah, but it's cool because after the Jedi leave the Tekkas, they are like, you know who this sounds like?
Yeah.
And they're like, no, it couldn't be.
Yeah, she'd be long dead.
She'd be long dead by now, but nope, she's being held captive and being used by Marchion specifically to figure out these paths. She can just do it in her head.
I mean, I assume that's some element of the Force, like kind of like skywalking for the Chiss. I mean, Anakin could do it as well.
Yeah.
So it just seems like she's very gifted in navigating space through the Force somehow.
Yeah, it's like she can do these like crazy analytics just in her head and give them the path, however they do that.
Yeah, just tell them how to get from point A to point B in a way that no one else would know.
And for anyone who's seen Battlestar Galactica, this is very similar to the way that the hybrid works for the Cylons. So they have each base star has a hybrid in it. They're kind of like in this little bathtub hooked up to all these tubes, and they're the
navigational system for the Cylons.
Yeah, they control when and how and where it jumps in space.
Yes.
So
it was very Battlestar.
Yeah. And it's interesting because Mari sometimes would just jump them on her own because she wants to go somewhere.
Yeah.
And Marchion has to be like, can you please stop? Yeah.
So I think the last major thing to talk about is the end game for Marchion. Not that we know what it is, but we know that there's something else going on. He has some history with the Jedi. He seems to want some revenge. Yeah. He captures Loden, which was terrifying. Like, they really make you love Loden, and then they make you think he's dead for a second, or you question it. But he's got Loden. He's got Loden's lightsaber, and he's got this purple thing.
Oh, the purple thing. Yeah. So basically, Marchion, I wanted to talk about how he gets to the point of power that he gets to.
Sure.
He kills off... now I can't remember names,
one of the Tempest Runners.
Yeah, he kills one of the Tempest Runners. He causes all of this stuff to happen where basically the other members of the Nihil don't know what to do, and they're just forced to look to him for guidance, which is what he wanted because he wants to be like in charge. And so towards the end of the book, he's speaking to all of the Nihil as if he were like their king, and he gives them this big like almost a pre-war speech to get them all riled up, so that they all are like very, very loyal to him.
Yeah.
Which was his plan the whole time. So now he is in charge of the Nihil.
Yeah, for lack of a better... like, technically they still vote, but any ties go to the Eye of the Nihil, and...
Kassav is the name that I was thinking of.
And he gets 2 votes because he's the Eye. So with only 2 Tempest Runners, it's like, yeah, he's got control. And he's got Loden, and he's like torturing people around Loden in his cell just to like keep Loden overwhelmed with other people's fear, which is messed up.
Yeah.
But
it's something in these little chambers, like it's torturing them by like keeping them awake. So like you can't fall asleep and you'll get like zapped. But yeah, Loden is also being specifically tortured in the way that you could really only torture a Jedi, I guess. And then yeah, we figure out that Marchion has, I guess it's a weapon. We don't know what it is.
It's pretty unclear.
It's like cylindrical and purple, and it's got like markings on it, and it glows, and that's it. That's all we get.
It did. So the book ends with like a vision that Elzar Mann has of just a terrible future of the Jedi running in fear, and he specifically sees like a purple glow. So I'm sure that has something to do with it, but
yeah, but we don't know what it is, what it does, anything.
Just like all of the chapters did a really great job of saying like you can't wait to see what happens in the next chapter, and like it really keeps you reading. It definitely at the end made me go like, I wish Rising Storm were out right now, because I want to make sure that Loden is okay first and foremost. And yeah, like they set up all these little mysteries that I really want to follow up on.
Yeah.
But yeah, like this is just, when I was reading this book, it is exactly what I was hoping it would be. Just a new addition to Star Wars where I'm like, yeah, I know not everyone is going to be into this idea. People are probably going to miss the Skywalkers. I know obviously there's a lot of love for the Skywalker saga because that like is 98% of Star Wars right now. But I've been so excited to kind of get back into what Legends did, and I don't think Legends did it enough either. It was still mostly Skywalker saga, but I love when they would go back and do like Darth Bane, just tell stories about new people, keep it familiar, but it's all new and you don't know what's going to happen. No one has plot armor, at least early on. So it really just checked all the boxes for me of seeing something new and exciting. I'm so happy with it.
Yeah, I mean, it made me kind of think of the Clone Wars just as a whole, the entire show, because you get all these Jedi, you get to see them, read about them doing all this insane cool stuff. Like if you like Jedi doing cool things, you will like this book.
It is a very cinematic book. Like you can just picture this stuff happening in your head, and I've seen a lot of people saying like, will they develop this into a Disney Plus show or adapt it? I'm like, I don't think so.
It had to be animated, I think, because it like there's a lot of force jumping and like almost like force flying almost.
I mean, the whole kind of climax for Bell and Loden, that whole rescue of the family where they're like taking off and they're literally throwing children out of the ship and the Jedi have to like jump out and catch them.
Yeah.
Like so cool, so intense. I just, God, every time I talk about this book, I'm like, I gotta finish my reread.
Porter has this badass moment where he like throws his lightsaber and it's kind of like a boomerang almost. It's so cool. And there's some cool animals in the books too, like Ember is like this, I don't know if you can see it very well, but it's like
the Pokemon.
The Pokemon?
I mean, people have likened it to a Pokemon, like a fire dog.
Yeah, it's like a fire dog, and Ember gets to have a really cool moment where she saves Porter, basically. And it's like a dog that breathes fire, which is cool. And the Chancellor, I forget her name.
Lena So?
Yeah, Lena So is the Chancellor. And she's got these two pet
lion
cat things that are like, one is red and one is blue or something, but they're like bigger than lions, and they just look really cool.
We haven't really talked about the Republic very much, but I really liked the Republic in the way that it is being handled as just like, you know, it is a government that like cares about its citizens.
We are the Republic.
Right. And I do, it's really showing off this idea that like we're all in this together, and if we work together, we can make things better for everyone. If we stop being so selfish. And everything that happens with the Great Disaster is exactly that. She puts like the economy on hold to save lives. And
yeah, they close all the hyperspace lanes until they can figure out what's going on. And we didn't even talk about, like, they basically take hundreds and hundreds of navigational droids, link them all together to basically do what Mari San Tekka can do in her head.
Yeah.
So they take all these Navi droids, link them together so that they can predict where the other emergencies are happening. And another cool thing that the Jedi do to help them, because it's like all these droids are basically overheating and they're about to explode and not be able to do their job. And the Jedi like calmly sit down and they create a rain cloud.
They make it rain.
They make it rain. Like literally, they create a rain cloud so that the droids don't overheat. And it's like they just take the moisture out of the air.
And what I liked about that was that they kind of had to figure it out. It wasn't like something that they have always known the Jedi could do. They were like, wait, we could probably do this if we set our minds to it, which so lines up with just and this is probably something that people will argue about, but like, to me, that lines up with my view of the Force, that so much of it is about visualization, and like they aren't a bunch of concepts that need to be specifically taught to people. It's like, just picture how we're all connected, and then work on that.
Yeah. Just another like super cool thing that the Jedi can do.
Yeah. So let's talk about, we've been going for a little over half an hour. Let's quickly talk about A Test of Courage and then the comic, because the comic is short. But A Test of Courage is, of everything that I've read so far, my least favorite. I still like it, but kind of what I love so much about Light of the Jedi and how much world building it does, how it expands on this new era. The Test of Courage doesn't do that so much, which I think is understandable for a middle grade book.
Yeah, this is like you said, this is a middle grade book. It's a quick read.
Yeah.
I read it and I liked the story, but it is much more simplified. Kind of the overarching story is more geared towards a younger audience.
Yeah, it's just not written for us, so
yeah,
that's the basics of it.
But another super cool Jedi thing is the light whip.
Yeah.
So Venestra is one of the main Jedi characters in A Test of Courage. She's a Jedi Knight, very young.
Recently promoted.
Yeah. Basically, another Jedi,
Emery or Douglas or
Emery. Well, okay, so they're on the steady wing.
I'm gonna take over because this reminds me of Leslie trying to talk through that episode of Friends. Basically, Vernestra is on a diplomatic mission. The Nihil sabotage it, blow up the ship, and Vernestra, a Padawan named Emery, Avon Staros, and a politician's son named Honesty are like the lone survivors, and a droid. And so they crash land on a very hostile planet.
Honesty,
and they have to survive.
Was the farmer kid?
He was the son of a politician of a farming planet.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, like they're a pretty simple folk.
Yeah, but they get stranded on this crazy moon where there is acid rain and purple lightning and
yeah, just a lot of like, okay, we have to solve problem after problem, and then the Nihil show up to hunt for survivors. This actually, I will say, this book got a lot darker than I was anticipating. Like, a lot of violent stuff happens. It's like off screen, but to the point where I was like, "There's no body, so those people aren't dead." And at the end, you're like, "Oh no, they're dead.
Yeah.
Like they all died. Honesty's family is dead." It's very.
Yeah.
They took the kid gloves off despite it being a kid's book.
Yeah, Emery is the other Jedi with them, and his Master Douglas, gets killed at the beginning of the story. And as we go on, you kind of see his anger and hatred build and build and build to like what obviously happens when Jedi get super angry. He taps into the dark side and
he wants revenge on the Nile.
Yeah, he wants to kill these members of the Nile that have crash landed there, and Venestra has to stop him and be like, no, that's not the Jedi way. We don't kill, blah, blah, blah.
But that's like after they straight up fight.
Yeah.
Like Imri is so pissed off that he is attacking anyone that will stand in the way of his revenge, including Venestra.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that story did get rather dark. I was impressed with it.
Yeah. But Venestra, her lightsaber had, like, she had this vision from the Force where she was kind of just like, all of a sudden she woke up one night and had this idea of how to manipulate her lightsaber a little bit to where she can press a button and it becomes a whip.
Which is very different from the light whips of Legends. A lot more simplified, which seems to be what the canon does a lot of times when it takes something from Legends. It's like, okay, let's make this a little bit less complex. And like, sometimes it's needlessly complex. The light whip, I don't know. I think I kind of like the Legends version of it, but it's cool.
I don't know the Legends version of it, but
it's more like a full-on a physical whip made out of kyber crystals.
Gotcha.
Or lightsaber crystals back in the day. And so it would always be a whip. Like, you could still hurt someone even if it weren't turned on. But then you could turn it on and cut someone in half.
Yeah. Hers can just go from a regular lightsaber to a big floppy one.
Yeah, basically.
That's just
but
super cool. And they talk about how light whips were used in the Jedi Sith Wars.
Mm-hmm. And by Night Sisters.
And they mention the Night Sisters.
Yeah, there's still some little lore nuggets in there.
Lore nuggets.
Yeah.
Which makes me excited of the idea of possibly seeing Night Sisters in the High Republic.
I think it's all fair game, yeah.
Maybe learning more about the Sith Wars. So, yeah.
I mean, and thematically, I really liked what this book said about, Imri. Imri thinks he's going to get kicked out of the Jedi Order, and Vern is like, one bad day doesn't make you a bad person. I like that message for kids. It also ends with a nice hook where, the same way Light of the Jedi kind of did, where it has some teases for the future. And that was kind of the most intriguing part of the book for me, to be like, oh, they have like their own little thing going on. So I like that. Yeah,
both stories end on, well, Light of the Jedi doesn't end on Starlight Beacon, but that's kind of where the Jedi story ends. And then we get the rest of the Marchion stuff.
I can't remember. I think, because I just read Elzar's vision again, I do think that's the end. And that is on Starlight Beacon.
Yeah.
That's like all of these first stories kind of converge into that one event, the Starlight Beacon dedication ceremony.
Yeah. And then we find out that Venestra becomes Imri's new master. So that's cool.
And so the last thing we'll talk about real quick is the comic, and then we'll answer some questions. So the comic is basically just introducing Keeve Trinnis as a character who I like a lot. Pretty simple story. It's basically just her Jedi trials that get interrupted by these creatures whose migration patterns have been messed up. They like travel through space, kind of like Purgil. But basically Starlight Beacon is summoning them, and some signal it's sending out is making them want to attack people, attack planets, and go to Starlight Beacon.
Yeah.
Keeve saves a village instead of completing her Jedi trials, which of course was like the right thing to do, and she gets knighted anyway.
Yeah, and she is the Padawan of Skier, who is the Trandoshan Jedi, and he's really cool.
Yeah, I like Skier, and he's appeared in all 3 stories so far, which is interesting.
He loses an arm in Light of the Jedi, but Trandoshans can grow their limbs back.
So he's fine.
He's fine.
He's not happy about it.
But.
Yeah. So yeah, I really like Keeve. I found her to be really relatable.
She curses a lot. She says criffing a lot. She curses in front of Avar, and she's like, ah.
Yeah. Well, just lost my train of thought. Oh, what I like about this story is kind of, I think it's maybe hinting at something else we'll see throughout the High Republic is there are probably a bunch of unforeseen consequences of the Republic and the Jedi expanding out into this massive area of space, the Outer Rim, outside of the unknown regions. It's the biggest area of the galaxy, and they just don't understand it. They don't understand the culture. They don't understand the ecology. They don't understand the Nihil. I think they're going to keep running into problems because maybe they're overreaching, and they have good intentions, the Republic. Like, they want to bring... They genuinely want to bring their prosperity to other planets. But not everyone wants that, and I think that they're going to keep on just bumping into things that they didn't expect.
Yeah.
They're going to keep getting pushed back.
Yeah, it's a very interesting time for the Jedi, the High Republic. It's going to be a big test for them moving forward. I will also say, we didn't mention this, and they're not in it very much, but Yar Poof and Oppo Rancisis are in Light of the Jedi. So,
Yoda is, of course,
yay.
around. He's mentioned in Light of the Jedi. He's in the comic. He will be a major character in the Adventures comic.
Yeah, he's mentioned in the comic, but he also says that he's kind of like on his own path right now. He's like working on his own
He's
thing.
on sabbatical. Like, he's part of the council, but he's away from it. So I think he's just training younglings. I think he's just like, I want to hang out with the kids.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's everything. If I had to rank these 3 stories so far, and people, I've already done a video on like what to read. Is it everything necessary? What order? I think what looks like is going to happen is, if all you want are the broad strokes, read the adult novels. So Light of the Jedi, the upcoming Rising Storm, and I believe the Marvel comics are going to bridge the gap. So if you were to read just those 2 things, I think you're probably going to get everything you need. I think Into the Dark does a lot of good world building as well, introduces a new threat, and A Test of Courage I liked, but that's the one where I'm like, you don't have to read it, but those characters are going to be in a young adult book next.
Yeah.
So their story is going to get picked up. I'm sure they'll explain everything you need to know.
Yeah, it's like we're going to see those characters grow a little bit. So if you wanted to know kind of their origins of how those characters met, you could read Test of Courage. It's less than 300 pages, I think. So
yeah, it's very short.
But yeah, I agree. I think really Light of the Jedi is all you would need to read at this point to know the broad strokes of what the High Republic is going to look like. Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. The bigger the book release, like, the more necessary it'll be. And then as you go down, it's going to get smaller and smaller in scope.
But Into the Dark is the Claudia Gray.
And Claudia Gray writes amazing Star Wars.
So hers is a young adult novel, which is a step above middle grade. So it's Test of Courage, Into the Dark, and an adult novel, I guess.
Yeah.
So that's the one I haven't read yet, but from some of the characters that you have pointed out to me in the book, I am excited to read it.
Geode is a treasure. Okay, let's get to some questions. SFC Pruitt 101, thanks for our first super chat of the day here. And not a question, just a statement that we're so used to hearing by now. I like turtles.
With the shrug emoji.
Let's see. I addressed Templin. And Darth Bob, thanks for your super chat, says message retracted. See if anyone has sent us a message there. But I'll go on to Nick Conrad. Thanks for the super chat. Hey guys, love the channel so much. Here's some money for support. I loved this novel so much. I'm thrilled to see where this story is heading. Thank you so much for the support, Nick.
Thank you. Glad you loved the book.
And we're on the same page. I'm very excited to read The Rising Storm. It's taken me back to... Here's something else that I didn't really mention, but what I love about Star Wars Legends is that the books got to do so much stuff. Mm-hmm. They got to do their own storytelling, stuff like the new Jedi Order, the X-Wing series. I want that to keep happening. And the new canon, I've enjoyed a lot of the books, but I've missed having a series that books got to do. So I'm really excited that, like, Star Wars books feel like they're back in a big way.
Yeah. He was saying to check the
there it is.
Spreadsheet. So here we go.
It's right there.
Where? This one?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
From Darth Bob.
Yeah. Was the Great Disaster really the first time a ship blew up while in hyperspace? Also love the channel. Thank you. And
I doubt it.
Probably not. But it was the first time that they had ever heard of something coming out of nowhere to crash into,
like,
a ship in hyperspace. In a hyperspace lane.
It definitely happened in Legends, and yeah, they had these lanes set up. I guess that was the bigger thing. Like, the San Tekkas kind of talked about how they were prospectors and how dangerous that was. So I'm sure they lost people as they were trying to find hyperspace lanes. Mm-hmm. But they probably exploded, and, like, if a ship explodes in hyperspace and no one's around to see it, did it happen?
Well, so as far as we know, this is the only time something like this has ever happened.
Yeah. Huh. Like, now I'm curious if, like, the San Tekkas, if a ship blew up and, like, wiped out a planet full of people, and it's like, we just don't know.
Yeah.
That's sad.
Major Zuma has a super chat. Thanks so much. Still listening to Light of the Jedi, loving it. This has been an awesome start to the era. Yes, I highly recommend the audiobooks. I will sit with the book and listen to the audiobook, and it's just like, it feels like it feels like a radio show kind of thing, like I don't know. It really puts you in the universe, but yeah.
I'm really glad to see Charles Soule getting into novels now. If you haven't watched the interview I did with him, he just has a lot of fun stuff to say about how he, like, they gave him a Lando comic and, like, that went well, so they gave him another mini series and that went well, and they were like, here's the Poe Dameron ongoing, so, like, he's getting more and more responsibilities. And obviously, like, there was an entire year where all I did was sing the praises of that Darth Vader comic. I guess that was 2 years. His Darth Vader comic is amazing. So seeing him now get to write a Star Wars novel, like, we just have a very similar outlook on Star Wars, and I love getting to see him pop up more and more.
Yeah. I'll let you read this one.
Biggs Darklighter, thanks so much for being here. And thanks for the super chat. Why did you steal my helmet? Love the channel. Biggs, now you loaned this to me. You promised that I could hold on to it for a while, so don't act like I stole it. Junji Ito's Gio, thank you for the super chat. What do you think Marchion is planning with Loden?
Nothing good.
I think he's probably trying to set up a trap, maybe, like.
Yeah, so I took that as, like, he's going to use him as bait or make some kind of hostage situation to really catch the Jedi's attention.
Yeah, because I don't think people even know he's alive right now. So, I don't know, maybe it could be, like, purely for research, like trying to just learn more about the Jedi. I hope that they save him. I hope the Jedi go after him, find out he's still alive, and then, like, get him back in the Rising Storm.
Yeah, because his Padawan, like, doesn't necessarily think that he's dead, and he's also, like, by the end of the book, they offer to promote him, and he just is like, I don't want to unless my master Loden can do it. So he kind of, I think he thinks he's still alive.
Yeah. I like Might Heal in the chat says he thinks he's gonna try to replace Mari with Loden. That's an interesting thought. I mean, Mari's got a ticking clock, so.
That's true. Like, without Mari, they don't have the ability to make paths, so.
I think that's a very interesting idea. Wolfboy762, thank you for the super chat. Still can't believe this Mad Lad interviewed Charles Soule. Do you feel that Marchion could get redemption eventually?
He seems like he's gone pretty off the deep end.
Man, I go back and forth on this all the time. It's like everyone in Star Wars has the capacity for redemption, but I don't want it to happen over and over. Like when I first met Kylo Ren, I was like, no redemption for him. It'll be just like Darth Vader. I don't want it. And then after The Last Jedi, I was like, I think I want him to be redeemed. And then that was like the biggest thing that I liked in The Rise of Skywalker was how they handled Ben Solo. Mm-hmm. So, like, I will come around if they are going to do a Marchion redemption. But right now, I'm like, no, just we can have another bad guy that's just bad.
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole idea of the Nihil, or at least for now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't see a redemption for him anytime soon. Jane Dalton, what's up, Jane? I hope this hasn't been asked already, but what do you think of Marchion's real family name is?
I don't know.
Do they talk
It's not Ro? He probably said that wasn't his real name or something.
No, yeah, I think he talks about that wasn't his family name. Maybe he's a Tekka. I don't know. What species is he?
I don't think we know. People around him seem to not know, and they just described him as a predator.
Yeah, they almost all wear these like crazy elaborate helmets. So
yeah. I don't know.
No idea about his family.
Yeah,
name.
Will he be connected to anyone? I mean, I hope not. Honestly, like I'm fine with him being his own person. Mm-hmm. I like when we get characters that are just new characters. Not everyone. I'm fine with like an Avon Starros and a San Tekka. That's fine. Connecting to minor characters is fine. Like if we get a Skywalker somehow in this story, I'm gonna be like, come on.
Doesn't he
or a Palpatine or
doesn't he like put on something of his father's at the end of the book?
I can't remember.
It's like maybe it's like a big cape or like some big elaborate.
Yeah, that does sound right.
He has a costume change, and it's like a big deal. I'm
kind of right after I say I don't want a Palpatine in it. Like I'm kind of backpedaling. I think it would be interesting to see a Palpatine at this point in time. And he's like the best dude.
Yeah, his father's cloak. That's it.
Okay. Byron Harris, thank you for the super chat. I hope Bell Zettifar doesn't give up on believing that Loden Greatstorm is alive. Me too. And I don't think he will. Like, Bell is on the cover of The Rising Storm with, I can't remember her. I think Stellan Gios is there. And there's a new character that they're calling a Saber for Hire. I don't remember her name. But that character intrigues me to no end.
Yeah, so she's not in the Jedi Order, but she is a Jedi?
She has a lightsaber. I'm wondering if she's like one of the Lost 20. The Lost 20.
Or maybe she inherited the lightsaber from...
We don't know anything about her, so this is all pure speculation. I'm guessing that she is a Force user. Maybe a former Jedi. Maybe she was a master that left the Order peacefully, so she's one of the Lost 20. But they're still like, we like you. They're cool with her.
Indira? Is that the name?
Indira. Sure, maybe. I don't remember at all. So I like the idea that the Jedi are willing to work with basically like a Force-using bounty hunter. Or mercenary. I love that.
Yeah.
Biggs Darklighter is back with another super chat. Thank you. Trivia, what was the name of your lover on Tatooine? Are you cheating on me, Biggs?
But
I don't know. I do not know.
Did he have a girlfriend?
Unless it was Cammy, but I don't think that was... She seemed to be Tank's girlfriend.
Luke? Big Snacks, thanks for the super chat. Do you think we could get High Republic characters in Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga? Probably not.
I don't know, maybe.
It's the Skywalker Saga.
Yeah, but they're putting Mandalorian characters in it. They're putting Christmas sweater Darth Vader in it.
Sure. I just don't think that they're going to go back and introduce High Republic characters unless it's like Opera Rencessus.
So the way the Lego, we've never really dabbled too deeply into the Lego games, but when you beat the game, you like unlock minifigs and stuff, so you can basically replay it with just a different skin. So it's not like Avar Kriss would just show up in the Skywalker Saga, but you could play through it as Avar Kriss for fun.
Excuse me. I still don't think that will happen.
I think it might. So there.
We'll see.
People are always asking it when we disagree on things, and I disagree. I think it might happen, and I think it would be cool. I mean, I guess if Yaddle's going to be in it, so there's already a Yaddle and Yoda.
If you could
play High Republic characters.
If you could play as Skier or Buryaga, then that would be cool, because those are two very unique Jedi characters to play. Jane Dalton with another super chat. Do you all think can be in hyperspace without going light speed?
Can you be in hyperspace without going to light speed?
They mention that the cabin pods have active hyperspace generators, but they also don't seem to be going at the speed of light.
So let's see. The Legacy run blows up. They exit hyperspace. So, like, basically, were those people in a different dimension?
Yeah, because they talk about how going to light speed or being in hyperspace is like temporarily being in another dimension of time and space.
I don't know. I don't think so. I think they probably exited hyperspace when the explosion happened. But it's interesting, they still had active generators. If they just got knocked off course. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of questions about hyperspace up in the air right now, which some people have taken issue with, and
there's your answer for Biggs.
Biggs' lover on Tatooine was named Kanji. She was killed by Tusken Raiders. Thanks, Phantom Jedi. That's sad.
That is sad.
Yeah, I don't know. I will say Light of the Jedi is a little bit like weird with its hyperspace rules, but
you have to just get past that, though.
I mean, that's just feels like par for the course for Star Wars now, and not just for the new canon. It's always been a little bit like, what now? It's like hyperspace is literally magic. That's what George Lucas used to describe it. He was like, I just need a way for people to travel across the galaxy, so hyperspace. That's as far as he thought about it.
Yeah. Light speed. Make it happen. Tony Jake, thanks for the super chat. Chances of Avar Kriss and Elzar Mann starting a secret relationship. Ooh, so
I think it's more about continuing a secret relationship.
Yeah, they have this strong connection with each other. They've known each other since they were Padawans.
I mean, they even kind of mentioned that they did some stuff.
Well, yeah, but they mention it to be like, can't do that anymore.
Right. It was fine when we were Padawans, but not anymore. So yeah, will they pick it back up? I don't know, but I could definitely see, like, if something were to happen to one or the other, if something happens to Elzar, Avar might go off the deep end and vice versa.
Yeah. It's kind of what happened with, was it Skier?
Skier and Jorah?
Yeah.
Is that her name?
They had kind of a flirty thing going on, and then Jorah got killed, and Skier was pretty upset.
And there's definitely something going on with him in the comic. We didn't really talk about that, but he's not having a good time.
Yeah, he ends the comic basically. We're thinking that he also maybe had a vision, or felt the effects of something terrible happening.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because he kind of screams out.
I think he's just mad. He seemed really upset by his friend's death. So, and this is something that the Jedi have been at peace for 800 years.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't experienced anything like this. So now he's experiencing like heavy loss, and he's probably not handling it well.
Yeah.
But for Avar and Elzar, I don't know. Like I'm kind of shipping them. I like them together, so I'd be interested to see them kind of go down that path, just to see what the Jedi as a whole think of it.
Yeah.
If they'd be like, "How dare you?" or if they'd be like, "All right, just like remember, don't get too attached. We trust you."
But like, if that were to happen, what does that mean for her, Anakin and Padme? Like,
It means that the Jedi became too dogmatic, and
yeah, but if they had just known about it, would they have been like, all right, fine?
no, I don't think so. And that's the point, is that I think at this point in the High Republic, the Jedi are more about the spirit of the rules.
Mm-hmm.
When they're like, don't get too attached. When someone dies, you have to let them go, and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But they're not like no attachments. That's the difference, I think. It's something that happens in the Bible too, where there are so many rules, and there's a point where everyone is like so worried about following every little rule, except for the ones that are like, be compassionate to your neighbors, like love each other. Mm-hmm. Everyone's like, no, screw all that. Like, I'm following these other rules.
Yeah.
So they that's how I think the Jedi kind of lose their way, is that they get wrapped up in like, okay, the Jedi code says this, this, and this, and we have to follow that to the letter.
Yeah. So they're like evangelical Jedi,
I guess,
at the time of the prequels.
Yeah. They're just less flexible.
Yeah.
Thomas Adolf, thanks for the super chat. Any chance to see Bogano or Zepho in the next novel, or anywhere in the High Republic?
I wouldn't rule it out completely.
Zepho, I'm gonna say no. That seemed outside of the Jedi. That was like, the Zepho were Force users and they were kind of doing their own thing. Bogano, since at least some of the Jedi knew about it, maybe, yeah.
I think it's possible.
Algol Gaming, what's up? Just thanks for the super chat and the rainbow. It's nice.
That is nice.
Little sticker.
Elijah Neal with a super chat. I'd love for the Old and High Republic to eventually be able to exist in canon, because I love both. Also, I really loved the Nihil almost as much as the Knights of Ren. Almost as much. Love those guys.
Well, thanks for not making me name every member of the Nihil.
Yeah. There's too many of those.
For the Old Republic right now, like, I've basically just headcanon been treating it as if it happened, like KOTOR.
That's,
at least in the broad strokes.
I think that's a healthy way to look at it. Like, until they start telling stories from that time period, just assume all that stuff is canon.
I do think the High Republic makes technologically some of it a little bit different, but I mean, there are also connections to KOTOR, of like mentions of Kolto, and Bacta's about to become a thing, and so I think that it's still in people's minds. But what Charles Soule said, one of the attractive things about the High Republic was that this era has not been touched before. So it's not like you can go in there and say, well, in Legends, the High Republic, blah, 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 where if they did do the Old Republic, which he said they were allowed to do, Lucasfilm Publishing was like, come to us with an idea. You can do whatever you want. You can go hundreds of years into the future after the rise of Skywalker. You can go into the past. You can go thousands of years into the past. Just what do you want to do?
Yeah.
And they were like, we want to do something that is just completely fresh. And I love that.
And I can't blame them, because as soon as something canon comes out that's from the Old Republic era, it is going to be torn apart and scrutinized down to every letter. Just people comparing it to, Legends
what,
content.
yeah, the old Republic.
So
I think for now it's a smart decision to just let that be and just, yeah, in my mind, I mean, Revan has already been mentioned in reference books, so he is a canon character, and what exactly he went through, I guess that's up to interpretation, but in my mind, I just keep that story that I played in KOTOR.
Brian Harris, thanks for the super chat.
Byron.
Byron Harris. Where did you go?
I'm sorry.
I was wondering if Mari Tekka was force sensitive.
And
Also, with another super chat, Star Wars Light of the Jedi would make an awesome anime for Disney Plus. I agree.
yeah, lots of crazy action that would be cool to see animated.
If they did it in the Galaxy of Adventures, is that what it's called?
Oh yeah,
The
yeah,
little
it is.
YouTube shorts called
yeah, that would look really cool.
called Galaxy of Adventures. If they did something like that animation style, which seems like it could be created a lot quicker than something like Clone Wars or Rebels, I think that would be cool.
Mm-hmm. And I do think Mari Tekka is force sensitive. Anything weird and fantastical like that, whether it's magic or blatantly the Force, I'm just like, okay, the Force is doing that. We don't understand exactly how yet, but
Yeah.
yes, I have to assume it's Force sensitivity.
Yeah.
Miranda here, thanks for the super chat. Haven't finished yet, so I'm leaving y'all on mute. We'll watch in full in a few days. Love your signed copy and your socks. Just enjoying the
Love
ride.
my
Wait,
signed copy.
huh?
She loves her, or
Yeah.
they love.
Is this signed? I didn't even look. I don't know if it was supposed to be or. Oh my god! I didn't even know this was signed. Honestly, I wanted the socks.
Alex was like, "Where are my socks?" When he was looking at the tracking for that. Yeah. Well,
I ordered that because I like Star Wars socks. What can I say? But I loved the book that I was like, I'll buy it again.
Didn't even know that it was signed.
We own this book 4 times. We own it 2 copies, the audiobook and the Kindle version. So, and we got the socks.
Got socks.
Well, thanks for the super chat. I hope you enjoy watching this back when you're done.
Yeah.
Goodman 4, thanks for the super chat. I want to see the High Republic Lego sets. I mean, when I did a big discussion with
Starlight Beacon would be a cool one.
I did a big discussion with Force Center, and Joseph was talking about how at the end of the book on Elfrona, it's like we already had the Vector, but then they introduced the Vanguard and the Veil Speeder, and it's like all of a sudden it's a toy commercial.
Oh yeah, the ships in this era sound so freaking cool.
I love the Vector, yeah, and the Vanguard's basically the land Vector.
They sound like the designs. Someone did a mock-up of one of the ships, and Charles Soule said that like he loved it, and it was pretty close to what he was thinking, and it sounds very much like an N1 starfighter type, like very sleek, pointy edges.
Well, it was basically taken from concept art for Revenge of the Sith, so I mean, you can see the similarities between that and the ARC 170. So, but yeah, I love that they're just.
We see the Vector in the comic, right? Yeah.
I love that they're digging back. I mean, anytime concept art is created for Star Wars, it's like they just file it away and they're like, when we need something, we're gonna dig it out and we'll find something cool, or we'll make something new. But I love that. Lego sets, yeah. I look forward to, and I think I've already seen like Scout on Twitter. I think I've seen people making vectors, and Scout has been doing like brick heads. If you follow Scout on Twitter, they've been making really cool brick heads of the characters.
Yeah. Mike Kennedy, thanks for the super chat. Where are the turtles? Where are they?
SFC Pruitt, where are the turtles?
We like them. We know we like them, but where are they? They're in our hearts. That's where they are.
They're those turtle creatures in Star Wars Resistance. I forget what they're called.
But the mechanics.
Darman's Bar, thanks for the super chat. Elzar kind of reminds me of Anakin. Am I the only one who had that vibe? you are absolutely not alone there. Yeah, he's like kind of the maverick weirdo, like outside of the box thinker that
Do you think Anakin's a weirdo?
when it comes to the Force, I
Don't
mean,
say
and
that.
strategy.
People coming for
I
you.
mean, in a good way.
Okay. Yeah.
He's
I like Maverick. I don't like the term weirdo, but yeah.
he's an outside of the box thinker when it
wild
comes to the
card.
Force. Yes, a wild card is better than weirdo. Excuse me. But Elzar is like so experimental with the Force that it's held him back from becoming a master. So yeah, there's some obvious parallels there. Not to mention he and Davar Chris have a thing going. So I definitely think you're onto something, that Elzar is gonna be someone that we compare to Anakin throughout these stories,
Yeah.
and just see how the Jedi treat them differently. Like that, and I think that's a really good idea. Just to be like, man, what if Anakin lived in this time period? Things probably wouldn't have been so bad.
Yeah. But alas. Stephen Smith, thanks for the super chat. Any chance the Nihil get connected with the Sith?
It wouldn't surprise me.
I mean, there's a chance that this purple glowy thing that Marchion has could be Sith related. There's definitely a possibility, especially since we kind of know that The Acolyte is a show that's going to take place towards the end of the High Republic era. That's going to be dark side related, probably Sith stuff. So I feel like it's only a matter of time.
Yeah, it's just because I've come to expect it from Star Wars. Like, yeah, it's going to connect probably with other properties more and more. It's not something I want right now. I'm enjoying the Nihil. I'm enjoying how different they are. So I want to keep digging into that. But if they set it up right and do it in an interesting way, and there are some very intriguing ideas of like, yeah, what are the Sith up to at this point in time? We've talked about the Acolyte, and I think something, they've called it a mystery. So I would really love to see like the Jedi maybe almost find out about the Sith and the fact that they still exist.
Mm-hmm. They're hibernating.
Yeah.
On Exegol.
So like they're tracking Sith, and it's like a cat and mouse game, but they don't quite get there. I think that would be really cool. And so if they maybe set that up a little bit in the High Republic, that would not surprise me.
I'd also be fine with them not having anything to do with the Sith too. So
That's my preference right now.
yeah.
But like I said, like I trust the authors. Charles Soule said that they planned all three phases out, like in the broad strokes.
Oh,
they
yeah.
they know where this story is heading
So,
for years.
Very different from the sequel trilogy. They have everything planned out, all the, like you said, the broad strokes, basically the entire outline of the story that they want to tell of the High Republic has a plan.
Yeah, that makes me very happy.
Yay.
I'm very looking forward to
What a concept.
seeing that happen. It's something that like it doesn't have to be that way. Storytelling doesn't need to be planned out from the get-go, but man, I prefer it that way. It's definitely possible. It's easily very possible to tell a great story without planning it all out, but I don't know, feels a little bit safer.
Yeah.
Abnormally Lilith, thanks for the super chat. A big cloak, he's a Krennic. Marchion Krennic. That makes sense. I do like that.
I could see Krennic having some wacky ancestors.
Aaron Manning, thanks for the super chat. Do you think the Nihil lasts the entirety of the High Republic? I love Marchion, but the Nihil themselves don't seem that terrifying. If so, what sort of enemies do you want/think they would be?
I mean, I feel like the Nihil, as of the end of Light of the Jedi, they are just about to hit their stride. Like, as a group, they're
Sure.
They have a clear leader now. They are super hyped up.
I think, well, I should say that Into the Dark introduces another group of villains.
Oh,
the
boy.
Nihil are not the only threat in the galaxy. They are a threat. I won't say what it is, but they've already talked about this group before. They talked about it in the live stream. You can find out about it on StarWars.com. But yeah, there's more than just the Nihil going on. So I don't know. I kind of like the idea. I like it either way. If they last the entirety of the High Republic, I think that's cool. But if they get wiped out at the end of Phase 1, and it's just like they're kind of this impetus for some new change for the Jedi, and we just keep seeing that snowball, I'm down for that too. If Marchion is just like the Phase 1 baddie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not opposed to that.
Yeah. We'll see. Pierce Smith, thanks for the super chat. What do you think the existential threat to the Force mentioned in the comic intro will be? Anything to do with Marchion?
Way to build off of the previous question without even meaning to, Pierce. Yeah, that's something that we haven't really talked about, is the battle for the Force itself. And that doesn't feel like the Nihil, at least yet. Marchion, the purple thing, who knows what it is? Like, there could be more going on with the Nihil.
Yeah, it could be something that blocks the ability to tap into the Force, something like that. But
that I'm iffy on that, just because George Lucas seemed pretty against that idea.
Well, he's not in charge anymore.
I know, but I don't think that if people know that, if I know that, then people at Lucasfilm know that. So I don't think they're gonna like actively go against something that George Lucas like said.
Sure. As far as the existential threat to the Force itself, maybe that has something to do with how it affects the Jedi and how the Jedi change over the years, and they lose a little bit of that closeness to the Force.
Yeah, I mean, they mentioned if you watch the Disney Insider episode on Disney Plus that came out this past Friday, they you see some of their brainstorming session. They talk about the High Republic being like a battle for the Jedi's soul as a group. So yeah, I don't know. It could be just a smaller, like a threat to the Jedi and how they connect to the Force, or yeah, it could be that the Force changes throughout the High Republic. I don't know.
That's kind of so early on, before we knew much about the High Republic at all. I kind of guessed that the Force was going to change somehow.
Well, even the original tagline for Project Luminous, it was like, for 1,000 generations, the Jedi Knights were the guardians of peace and justice until Project Luminous. And like, what does that mean?
Maybe what's happening with Skier, he's like, maybe the Jedi start to go insane or something if they tap too far into the Force.
That seems out there, but
I'm just throwing stuff out there.
I think that one of the big things that they were throwing out for their brainstorming session was like, what do the Jedi fear? I think this is going to be very fear-based, and just I'm assuming that fear is going to cause them to change. But yeah, I think it's interesting, the idea that the Force itself could change as well. And what is really exciting about all this is that, like, Light of the Jedi, The Great Disaster, which I thought was so great and awesome to read, that was book 1. Like, things are going to get worse, and they're going to ramp up and escalate. So The Great Disaster was just the start, and it's not going to be the big threat. They're building to that. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
Jaimin Patel, thanks for the super chat. Would you want to see Borgullet's ancestors in the High Republic? And would you want to see them as Jedi or the Nihil? Maybe
that
not,
would be cool if there was a Borgullet Jedi.
Maybe not necessarily Borgullet's ancestors.
He could hold
but
so
like,
many lightsabers.
I mean, I forget what they're called. They're like a Boar of the... They have a species, and Boar is kind of like a title for their Force users.
Borgullet.
Borgullet. So... They've been in the comic. Like, they're very weird, and I've come around on them. The first time I saw Rogue One, I was like, I don't know about this.
Well,
I've come around on what they are. Alexander Freed's novelization did a really great job of making that better.
yeah. I mean, they could be something that the Nihil use to torture people, kind of like how Saw used them.
Yeah. I'm not against it.
But they're just creatures that feed off of feelings, thoughts, emotions. Memories, yeah. Interesting.
Brett Baumler, thanks for the super chat. Is it possible that Elzar and Avar are a Force dyad? Palpatine says there hasn't been one in a generation, and the HR is generations ago.
In generations?
Generations. I don't know. The dyad thing isn't something that I'm like crazy about.
I don't think the word dyad is gonna come up in the High Republic.
I kind of hope not, I guess. I don't know. The whole dyad thing in The Rise of Skywalker just felt like it came out of nowhere.
It also didn't, like, I still don't understand what it means.
They're two... I don't either. I can try. Like, and why did Palpatine know they were a dyad? Like, it's just stuff I haven't really thought about. Because
he's like,
I don't care.
Kill the girl. Wait, no. You guys are a dyad.
Yeah, he finds out
you
accidentally. And why does Kylo Ren know they're a dyad? It's just, it's a lot. So, but I will say,
it's like hyperspace.
Yeah. Well, something that like the current the current Darth Vader comic is doing really well is connecting with both the prequel and the sequel trilogy. Ochi of Bestoon is in the Darth Vader comic. Vader is going to Exegol currently. And I'm like, okay, I'm into this. I like this. So that's one of the best things about Star Wars. If there's a concept you're not crazy about, they can make it better.
Yeah.
So if it happens, I might like it.
Yeah.
RG2088, thanks for the super chat. Do you think all three phases will lead up to the Acolyte, or was the Acolyte separate from their planning? It could go either way. I think they're separate.
I do too, just because I think there will be kind of a definite end to the High Republic saga. I don't think it'll merge into a TV show.
It would be interesting. It would be interesting if it did, and I really I like the idea that they start to build out an era in books, and then they can do a TV show here and a movie there and a video game. But the Acolyte, to me, I think is Leslie Headland wanted to tell a story. She had the idea and about when it would take place, and then on the timeline that just happens to be at the tail end of the High Republic era. So they said that because it ties into their other initiatives. Like, it's just business synergy. So I'm not guessing that this is going to lead into the Acolyte, but it would be really cool if it did.
Anything is possible. Abez Rex, thanks for the super chat. Could there be a connection technology-wise between the paths and light speed skipping? Interesting how relatively primitive hyperspace travel is. I thought about this when I was reading about the hyperspace stuff, but they mentioned light speed skipping in A Test of Courage.
Yeah.
Very briefly, so it's still different, very different from how paths work.
Yeah, I think you're still skipping through lanes. Like Poe, I believe in episode 9 was skipping, but he was still using hyperspace lanes.
It's like,
I think
it's like merging without a blinker.
It's dangerous.
It's dangerous.
But you can do it.
Don't do it.
But don't. But you can. But it's very dangerous.
But don't do it. Like, if there's no other cars around, you can just whip all the way over into the exit lane. That's light speed skipping.
Ooh, Brett's got a good one. Thanks for the super chat. Do you think Keeve Trinnis is the same Trinnis mentioned in Dooku Jedi Lost as being part of the Lost 20? Yoda shows regret over it. Yes.
Ooh.
I absolutely think that.
I don't even remember that.
Like, yeah, Cavan's... I've actually... I've got a video coming out Thursday that is more about Dooku Jedi Lost and the High Republic, because it was written by Cavan Scott. It was, I think, the very first piece of Star Wars content to mention the High Republic right after Project Luminous was announced. So I think he knows what he's doing. There are some interesting parallels between Dooku Jedi Lost and the High Republic. So yeah, I think Keeve Trinnis is going to leave the Jedi Order at some point.
I like it. Bradley Walston, thanks for the super chat. What's IIRC?
If I recall correctly.
Oh, if I recall correctly, Disney originally said the protection and defense lightsaber has more lore to be revealed. Do you think it's tied to the High Republic? I could see that. Where's your... Oh, it's on the
It's
wall.
over there.
I mean, the design is very similar to some of the designs that we see in the High Republic.
Yeah, I think that could be the case. I don't know what exactly they're going to be like. The protection and defense style of lightsaber and blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't know if that's how it's going to go, but maybe we'll actually see the design show up. I think that was supposed to be the one that was like the more ancient design.
Yeah, it feels very High Republic.
Key Issues, thanks for the super chat. Think we will learn anything about the 2 active Rule of 2 Sith during this time? Might be cool to see one of them off a Jedi in secret like Maul did. I think there's potential for that. That's still kind of what I'm wondering if the Acolyte will be about. I like that idea.
I still think that Yoda is investigating the Sith, and he will eventually discover and learn about the Rule of 2.
Yeah, that's a great point, that Yoda knows about the Rule of 2. How? Why? It was created after all of the Sith were supposedly destroyed by Darth Bane. Like, so how would any Jedi know about it? That's a great story to tell.
Yeah.
And right as we're getting to our last question here, we do need to wrap up soon, because I have another stream to start in about half an hour. But
did we get a super chat from Darth Bob?
Yeah, we read that.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I just got that notification like way late. Sorry.
Morkbus123, thank you for the super chat. I love you both so much. My question statement is, could the high death count of the Jedi in this era be the explanation for the shift in Jedi thinking? Yeah. I think that could definitely play a role in it.
Yeah. Yeah, because like
we were saying, the Jedi have been at peace for 800 years. There have been no Sith. Maybe they've fought Mandalorians here or there, but I don't think they've encountered a threat like this for a long time.
Yeah, and with such a high death count and high threat, you could see how over time they get more and more compact, and their rules get more and more strict, and they take things way more seriously, because it's like, all right, we got to really stick together if we want to survive. Yeah,
there's not that many of us.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That makes sense.
I agree. But that's going to be it for this stream. Thank you all so much for hanging out and asking us questions and talking with us. We'll be back on Wednesday to stream again.
Can I pick this up?
Yeah, I trust you. This is the frame of the Millennium Falcon that we began last Wednesday.
Pew, pew, pew. It's a ship.
Yeah, it will be. So we're going to keep building the Millennium Falcon on Wednesday. And that'll probably go for another set of months. Oh my God. But we'll pick that back up on Wednesday. And I'm actually about to stream on my Twitch channel in 25 minutes. I'm going to be building my Lego NES that I started last Monday. So if people want to go hang out on twitch.tv/AlexDamonLive, I'll continue asking questions, just chatting and hanging out. It'll be nice and chill. So I'll be doing that at 8 p.m. Eastern.
I'll be popping in and out to bug him and
put Pippin on the table and let him knock pieces off like he did last week.
Yeah.
Rude.
Yeah, this was really fun. This was kind of my idea, because after I read Light of the Jedi, I was like, we gotta get on and just gush about everything. Also, wanted to just talk about spoilers.
Molly wanted to be like, I read a book.
Yeah. I'm gonna go yell it in the streets.
I did it.
I read 2 books and a comic.
Yeah, you've read 2 books already in 2021. What a year. So, but yeah, people have been like wanting a more in-depth spoilery breakdown, and I'm glad we had some time to just answer some questions.
Yeah.
But yeah, I gotta set up for my other stream now and let my voice rest a little bit. And I'll see anyone who wants to hang out on my Twitch channel in 20 minutes or so.
Yeah. So thanks, guys.
May the force be with you.